It is so hard for people to admit that they are depressed. A lot of people don't want to believe that they are depressed because depression comes with such a really intense and bad taboo. There is something wrong with you. And there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with being depressed. Honestly, there isn't. The thing about depression is understanding it. The thing about depression is knowing when you're going into your dips and going into your lows and how to come out of it. The thing with depression is figuring out what is the best coping mechanism for you. Some people need to go to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy, but some people prefer to talk to people. Some people need medication because they're either bipolar and need to have a chemical balance happen through medication. We have so many other lists of things that fall under mental illness, schizophrenia and all sorts. Manic depression is one of them too. I particularly don't like to be on antidepressants, so I found other means and ways of coping. And I feel like a lot of people are scared to admit that they're depressed because of the taboo that it has. And also, we have to think about how in African cultures, South African cultures specifically, but let's not, Africa as a whole, but South African cultures specifically, there is no word for depression. You are sick in the head, the end. That's what it is. You are sick in the head. So you need to go to a sangoma or you need to go to somebody who is going to make you better because there's something wrong up here. And that is not the case. There is nothing wrong with you. You just have a chemical imbalance. When the days are low and you're feeling low, it's low. And it's just about knowing how to pull yourselves out of that low so that you can just cope on a daily basis, because mental illness is something that people are waking up to finally. We are realizing that a lot of us actually do suffer from depression because life is hard. And all of the expectations that we are meant to be, living up to, and the standards and the this and the goals it's hard. And people have put this expectation in front of us that we feel like we have to live up to. And if we don't, we're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? I'm doing this all wrong. And that is not the case. That is not the case. So I think the admission of depression is just hard when you don't have a support structure around you and you don't have people who understand what mental illness is and what depression is, and that it doesn't make you not okay, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with you is basically what I'm trying to say. And people need to not be afraid, because we are cutting through the taboos now. We are finally cutting through. We're getting rid of all of these myths, all of these myths that have stuck with us for days on end, I remember the first time I told my father I was depressed, he literally said to me, there is no such thing. It's all in your mind. And I was like, that's the problem. That's the problem. It is all in my mind. And my mind is just racing and racing and racing and racing and racing. And I feel like I'm drowning in what is happening in my mind. And that's it. It's the chemical imbalance.